Bring your question, leave your fear. With angel spirit signs and soul, the unseen world begins to glow. Loved ones, guides, and truth come through. Tonight the message may be for you. Ask the angel, open your heart tonight. Ask the angel, step into the light. Now welcoming Rachel Corpus, angel incarnate and psychic medium. This is Ask the Angel.
Hi, beloveds. Welcome to the show. Tonight's question comes from viewer Zachary in Indianapolis. Dear Rachel, I had a dream that I went back in time to change history. It was a battlefield, and I was in armor. When I woke up, it was so real. I wondered if it had any effect on my life or anyone else's right now. What do you and the other angels think about my experience? Okay, so interesting. We have this question from viewer Zachary, who wants to know pretty much, he had this dream that he went back in time, and he has this sense that that dream was one of those dreams that felt really real. Have you had one of those dreams before that was just so real that you could feel the texture of everything? You could sense like even the smells, everything felt so real. And he wonders that if that was a dream that was more about reality than dreaming, did he somehow affect, or could he affect his time now as reality now by going back to the future? So weird question, right? And we're here for it because that's what this show is all about. So I saved this question because if you've been watching the last few weeks, we've talked about quantum leaping and timelines. And then we threw in this wild card. We talked about disclosure because the movie Disclosure Day came out. Didn't know that those things would be related, but really they are, because we're finding out so many things about ourselves that the angels will say, well, we've known these things. We know these things about ourselves, but they've been buried deep within. They're hibernating. So when we think about what's being disclosed, it's not always about extraterrestrials. It's about the truth of who we are, what we know, our abilities being disclosed back to us as if Source is saying, remember who you are. And there's something about time and the wisdom of what we gather in our other versions of us. Maybe you want to call them past lifetimes, other lifetimes. Remember, we talked about parallel lifetimes in a past episode. Those other versions of us, we glean or gain wisdom. And the structure right now is that when we begin a new life, we don't remember any of that. But if you look into Gnosticism, that's different than religion. Gnosticism follows like big source, loving God, not the God that's religious that makes decisions, not the patriarchal yes, no, more man on a cloud God, but the Gnostic God, pure energy God. That God is one that, if you follow that God, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Poop. Oh, then we don't forget. We're not meant to forget from lifetime to lifetime. We're meant to remember. So when we go back to the timeline idea, what if we start to blend these timelines together? Like we're starting to remember our dreams, our past lives, and we're starting to be able to make decisions now that affect our future. We've always known that, right? But what about these other timelines that are starting to smush together, and it's waking up all of our wisdom, like we're not forgetting anymore? Okay, we're getting that idea. Maybe that's clear as mud. Sorry about that. But here's something really, really strange. What if there's more than one past? What if there's more than one past? We get that we're still structuring the future. We kind of get the idea that in the middle, we've got all these timelines coming together, the wisdom's waking up, all those things are coming together in a smushy way. Maybe we're figuring that out. Okay, we'll table it. But what about the past? Zachary wants to know, gosh, that dream felt so real. Did anything actually change in my past after I woke up? Well, that's what we get to figure out today. Has this idea already been disclosed to us, breadcrumb by breadcrumb, throughout our lives? I think so. I do. And here's proof. Did you study the poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost? Let me give you a little bit of earthly delight. Close your eyes and listen to this poem. Let me be your teacher. Did you get to close your eyes in class and ever listen to your teacher read? Let me do that for you. Thomas, you can't, my producer. You have to be awake. And if you're driving, also don't close your eyes. Everybody else, now just listen, okay? And you don't have to do anything right now. Just receive. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as far that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Let's break it down. Listen, this person, let's say it's you found two roads in a yellow wood, but you didn't have time to take both. You had to make a choice. So you looked down both of them. They looked good. Both of them did. One was grassy and it was so beautiful, it was asking you to walk on it. So are you going to do it? Look at the other one. They're both just about the same. And that morning, nobody had walked on either one. Ooh, that's enticing, isn't it? So you make a decision. Okay, I'll go down this one and maybe I'll do that one another day. But in the poem, it says that in that moment, even though I'm saying that, I don't think I'll ever be back to this moment. I think it's just now. So there's just like resignation. Oh, we're only this way once. And that made all the difference. But there's something about poetry that's always about us like interpreting, right? What does that really mean? The author doesn't really tell us. See, I think that's disclosure. I think when we have poems that have two roads diverge in a yellow wood, it doesn't really tell us the ending. We get to interpret it. There's something to that. So here's another weirdo in our world. Maybe you've heard of, who's this guy? It's the delayed choice experiment guy in physics, John Wheeler. He suggests something. He suggests that energetically, there are multiple versions of what could be happening for us, and that they're already put into place vibrationally for all of us in our timelines, and that each person has at least two options for them that are resonating, okay, playing like a song, that basically when you and I are in this show right now, what we're doing right now is the result of whatever past we chose, right? But not because the past is solid. Actually, what John Wheeler says is there's always two options rolling around in the past. And we think that where we are now is so firm. It's not true. The past is still changing according to how we act now. Think about that. The past you thought was firm. Energetically, it's still changing. Remember that this body you're in, this chair I'm sitting in, it's not made of matter. It's made of protons, atoms. You're creating that. So let's ask the angels about this. They're saying that when you created your soul map or your blueprint, you were wise to create it like a choose your own adventure book. You have many soulmates you could fall in love with, and many paths you could study, many, many things that you could contribute and heal. So it's not just looking forward, it's also backwards, because time expands in many ways. So there's no through equations. There's nothing certain. We can always mess with it. I'm looking to see in my notes if this can be explained in a different way, but I don't know if I can tonight. Here's what I want to tell you where some of this came from. I was looking for woo-woo news that we could use, and the Hadron Collider maintenance shutdown came up for me. And the CERN collider, the Hadron Collider, is something that always perks up for me, because that big collider, that is something that I believe in our world, at least from the angel perspective, is something that we feel hum like a big refrigerator. We always feel it like brrr. We may not hear it, but we feel it. And that collider, one of the things that they do there, when I've done remote viewing there, is I will watch like these protons, like a NASCAR race, go through this collider and try to hit what I think is another atom. Now, I'm not a scientific person, okay? So I'm just telling you what I see when I remote view. Protons are like shoo, 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 and they're trying to hit the other atoms. And when it happens, it looks like they're recreating the Big Bang. And that moment after the Big Bang, they're studying reality. That's what little old me sees when I remote view the CERN Hadron Collider, okay? Well, I don't think I'm the only one that sees this. And when these like moments happen, some other stuff happens in the world too that I'm pretty sure is related. And when I've checked this, I get a yes on that too. Hold on. When we have, I'm going to say like, when the proton meets the atom, or when there's a Big Bang simulation that happens, is there a world event like an earthquake? Yes, that's what I'll do that higher. Is there an earthquake? Yes. Now, I don't know if that doesn't feel nefarious to me. So I'm not going to go into that part of it. It just feels like one is so big that it creates movement in the tectonic plates. But I will say that it's being shut down because it requires maintenance. And this was a scheduled maintenance shutdown. And so what my research tells me is that there are large magnets that make this thing work, and the magnets are being replaced. And this is all radioactive work. It takes so much planning to redo this. And so for 4 years, this big collider is shut down. It shut down at 8:30 a.m. my time on Sunday, and I felt it. It could be placebo effect because I knew it was going to be shut down, but I was waiting for it. And it really felt like refrigerators everywhere just shut down, and it got really quiet. Now, if you've ever practiced disconnecting from the matrix with me, that Ethernet cord unclick with me, you'll know what that feels like. And it felt like that moment when the collider shut down, it just went quiet. They say if you research anything about how empathic or people who resonate as spiritual feel, when you ask them about the collider, there's narrative proof that those who are intuitive feel the collider. And so whenever it is shut down, because it's been shut down for maintenance work many times before, people will say that they feel better. They feel more clear of mind, more at peace, and that there are also not as many blocks to us. Feel like Mercury retrograde all the time. that base layer is taken off. So there's like some murky saran wrap taken off of us. So that's good for us. So how does this relate to what we were just talking about? Well, even though they're studying ways to understand reality and work within reality, they're probably opening up black holes and things like that. And when you open up black holes, and when you're studying, poking at reality, what I've been told by the angels is that that can interfere with our natural course of discovering it ourselves. And let me say that in the clearest way possible, because it seems like it wouldn't make sense, right? Because as scientists, as a culture, we're studying how to do it. Yes. But the sheer vibration of that happening on our earth gets in the way of all of us growing it and remembering it ourselves, like our bodies waking up to remember it. Because that radioactive activity, even though it's located near France, Switzerland, even though it's that far away from so many people, it resonates out in such a strong way, it actually can block us from waking up. So you have 4 years, beloveds, 4 years without this amazing machine, which is good, inherently good. It's here for research, but it's shut down. So you have 4 years to play in your timelines. We know that we're here as matrix builders. We know we're starting to figure out in 2012, we have a Nobel Peace Prize winner who won the Peace Prize for proving that we're in a hologram. That was 2012. So we know that something's up here, right? We know we're creators. We know that we're not all, we know that the God particle exists. The God particle, gosh, I can't get my words tonight. The God particle has nothing to do with religion. That's part of our physics that puts matter to the vibration. And so we're so good at that, we can start to make this place haptic. I can feel my clap when I want to, okay? We're creating all of that. So now that you have this break from the collider being on, imagine what you can do with no interference. So yes, Zachary, that was a long answer to your question. When you dream lucidly, you are affecting your past. You're doing it anyway. Now, it seems as though there is a practice we can do to affect your past without it being dreamlike. Because when you dream, even though it's lucid, you can't always control that. So what I've done for us today is that I have asked the guides, the angels and the extraterrestrials, and Sarai, my group of extraterrestrials that I love, our group, I shouldn't claim them as mine. I asked them if they could give us a practice or a protocol to go into our past. So this is John Wheeler's idea of the delayed choice experiment. There's 2 probable pasts. And how do we play with that safely and ethically to affect where we are now, to affect the current timeline? I asked them how to do it. We're going to do it. So this is what they said. They said, what you get to do is anything that you're wishing to modify, go back to that memory. Recreate the memory in your mind. Or if you're not a visual person, you can write it as a narrative. You don't have to really write it out everything. You could storyboard it, you could outline it, but make sure you have the story clear, okay? It's good to be like a reporter here and make sure that you're seeing it at a true angle, okay? We don't have to overdo that we are victims here. Try to see it from a fair, objective angle, okay? So know the situation. Get that story down. Then, what is another story? What's another probable outcome? When you're working with one of your other timelines, you can be assured that you're channeling this other timeline. It's coming through your creative brain. Where else would this come from? You can't go to a library and say, oh, hello, I would like to access my other past, please. Where's the card catalog for that? No. When you ask for this, the card catalog you're accessing is the Akashic records. And so you've got to trust that when you have the first story clear, you're automatically going to go into the second story, and it's going to feel like you're making this up because you don't remember it. It's in a parallel. Okay, this is the other option that didn't happen. It didn't happen. So you're making it up. Or if it did happen, it was in a parallel. So you got to come up with two stories, two storylines, one that happened that you remember and one that didn't. The one that didn't is probably going to be the one you want, I'm imagining. Okay, got that done? Then you are to imagine that you're standing in the middle of both options, okay? Like, here's option one in this movie theater, this IMAX. Here's option two in this IMAX. Be clear about both stories. Might be good to kind of walk around in each. Sit in this movie theater for a while. How's that feel? Sit in this movie theater. How's that feel? Notice you're not in the story. You're observing the story. You are the higher self going in the movie theaters. Come back out. Have a little popcorn. Talk to your guides. Go back in. Go in the movie theaters, okay? Because every time you go in those movie theaters, it's like a little sample life review. And you're seeing how you handled it, how you would handle it. You're advising yourself. In those chairs, you can call in ancestors, parents on the other side, past teachers, have conversations. Come back out of the theater. And every time you do that, this version of you now, guess what? It's modifying. It's not modifying in a poetic way. It's modifying in a real way, because you're changing your neuroplasticity. And the neuroplasticity is part of the grid. You're changing your coding. You're changing your physical body, but we know your physical body is also grid-like. So you're changing your surroundings, how people treat you, how you see colors, the food that you crave, your relationship with money. All of these things get to change because you're deciding which story is best, what theater. Don't buy the ticket to the movie until you decide which one is best for you. This is a different movie experience. You get to be in the movie as long as you want before you buy the ticket. That's the activity. Go to the movies. You have these options. Go in and out of the movie, watch as much as you can. And then when you buy the ticket is your key that you've made a decision, and you're uploading as much of that movie that you chose into this timeline. Your angels have a lot to do with this, because when they see that you have that ticket and you've chosen, they take all the coding, all the data from what you created or what you remember, and they upload it into your, it looks like DNA strands, honestly, but your matrix. All right. This is not different than what happens in laboratories. You're doing it in your brain. You're doing it in your auric field. What is so amazing right now is that when I remote view what happens in labs and in physics discussions, what we know how to do in our dream time easily, what our children know how to do when they play make-believe, what we're remembering how to do, like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? We channeled it. When you have those moments, like, where did that come from when I said it? Those natural things that we know how to do, I'm hearing people talk about them around the table saying, what do you think the formula for that is? Oh, we're discovering that dolphins know how to do that. We're discovering that protons and neutrons know how to talk to each other. Water is remembering herself. Water is female. We're discovering these things. And so we get to lead the way, honestly, as spiritual people. And I don't say that to boost our egos. I'm saying that one of the reasons why we all decided to be here this time around is because as we remember, we get to be spiritually, I think, a few pages ahead, just creating like a blanket of bravery and love so everybody else gets to wake up too. But it's great to see all of this woo-woo stuff we're talking about show up in science and in medicine. Yeah. I wanted to share something else from a viewer. A viewer said that she was asking people on Facebook if they had any timeline experiences, and I heard one from a viewer named Nicole, and she simply said that she had been, she's one of those that loves to underline her Bible a lot, and she said that she had been reading the book of John in her Bible, and she says, I've been rereading the book of John in my Bible. I read John 15 and like to highlight and underline things. The next day I went to continue reading, and the page I finished was completely blank. No underlining or highlight marks anywhere. I reread it a couple times to confirm that's exactly what I read the day prior, and it was. So I figured God must have wanted me to really receive that message. And maybe this was a timeline jump. So what do you think? Could that be a timeline jump? I'm going to ask the broads. Was that a timeline jump? And they're saying, yes, it was a timeline jump. I want to ask them who created that timeline jump? Since it feels kind of religious in nature. Did an angel create that timeline jump? No. Okay. And let's see, I got to turn this in. Nicole. Did Nicole create this timeline jump? Oh, and you know what? Nicole's on the line. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Hi. I just have my rods out. I was just asking them a question, your angels, if you actually created this timeline jump. Do you care if I continue with that?
Yes, please.
Okay, angels, did her higher self create this timeline jump? Okay, I'm getting a yes on that.
Oh.
Nicole, tell us in your own words what it was like for you.
Yeah, so I'd been just rereading the book of John in my Bible, and I was highlighting and underlining things, and I specifically read through John 15. And then the next day I went back to my Bible to start back where I left off, and everything was blank. And I reread it a few times just to triple check that, yes, I did read this yesterday. Yes, I highlighted that and underlined that, and it's blank.
People are having a lot of those timeline jumps recently where there's something that, they've written, or they've put something down, or they've purchased something, and then there's two of them after they purchase that. We're having a lot of those glitches or timeline jumps. Have you been seeing those on the internet?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. They fascinate me. You also sent me a screenshot or something about something that was going on with your son at that time, because he's really intuitive, you said. What was going on with that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let me pull that up. That would have been...
And he's just a little guy?
May 18th. Yeah, he's 6. Let me see what... Okay. Yes. So this was May 17th. I'd made a note in my phone saying that I was singing with my 6-year-old son outside, and he told me that Jesus told him there are multiple heavens and timelines, and the Bible has truths and lies in it.
Mm. Wow. Kids know, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He has a
Wow.
direct line.
Does he talk to Jesus a lot?
Yes.
Huh. Like when he's awake, like when he's in the bathtub, or just tell us. I would love to know more. I mean, if you want to share, you don't have to.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yes. I would say, a handful of times a week, usually in the evenings when either he's chit-chatty right before bed or in the bath.
Wow. I I ask that because, when we talk about how, energy is, or the veil is getting thin, sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
argue with that because I think like it's always been this way. And people like your son, look how easy it is for him to talk to Jesus and just at any time. And I think, is the veil getting thin, or do we just have gifted kids? I don't
Right.
know. And then,
I know. I feel like it seems like the veil thickens as we age.
yeah, it does. But then there's kids like and that might be different in this timeline. I think maybe like now we're just through it. I think the veil might be just always be thin. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Feels a little different now.
Mm.
But your
Yeah.
son, can I ask if he's had a past life with Jesus?
Sure.
Do you care? Like ask his guides?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
So on behalf of his mama, can I ask if he's had a past life with Jesus? That's a yes. And then from a timeline perspective, since we're talking about that, he's doing a really good job of he's one of the generations that he's not forgetting himself in between lifetimes. I mean, he's handling it so well because, if he remembered everything about his lifetimes, it'd be overwhelming. But he's not forgotten his relationship with one of his guides, who is obviously Jesus. And he may not remember the whole friendship, right? He doesn't remember, where they played and what they played in every conversation. That's not necessary, but he remembers that Jesus is a safe person, is a known friend to him, remembers what he looks like, because nobody had to walk up to him and say, hey, by the way, this is who this is. He's okay to talk to. He just knows, right?
Yes.
So that's what the angels mean about like remembering your wisdom from another lifetime. Those core knowings, our children are bringing them in. They remember. And then those of us who have been here for a while, we didn't remember our past lives, but we're starting to remember. And that's the blending of those timelines allows us to remember. But people like your son, they just were born that way. Bless their hearts. So cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Very.
It'll be cool to see what his role is in the next, 10 or 15 years as we move further into this awakening.
Yes. He wants to be a police officer ever since he could talk.
Oh, that'll be great to see. He'll be like the police officer that um, gets all the hugs, probably.
Yeah.
Such a sweetie. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks so much.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime, honey. Take care. Thanks for calling.
You too. Thanks.
Yeah, bye. Isn't that something that our children, they have decided that, and this feels like my kids who were born in, let's see, Olivia was born in 2006. That's my first experience being a mama that I remember, right, in this lifetime. But she came in gifted as well. And I suppose all parents say that. Seems like she remembered her gifts. And I would be curious to hear from all of you too, if your kids came in remembering their gifts or just seeing spirit, being sure about who they are. I feel like that's a spiritual gift. Where kind of, like my grandmother was probably psychic, but kept it in. And I'm just now, my mother and my father, if they're psychic, they don't know. And I'm the one that's being brave enough to say this is who I am. And it's still a little tender around some people around my family, because it's strange, right? Because they're all traditional Catholic, and I have that in my heart, but I don't practice. I am who I am. And my gifts woke up when I was a little one, but I didn't really live into them until I was older, because I didn't want to be strange and I didn't want to be shamed. But these kids are just coming in wild and strong, and they remember. And also, God bless the moms and the dads who are like, you be you, I've got you. It's great. So great. So for those of us that might not have felt supported or seen, that's one of the reasons why we can go back into those past timelines and make some shifts there. So in one of those movie theaters, you have your childhood as it was, no judgment there. But if you weren't supported in some way, create the other version. Here's where you were supported. Call in those adults that you didn't have, or change the behavior. Watch both versions. Maybe you can even step in. If we're creating a movie, can you step in there as you are now and be the adult to your younger child self that you didn't have? Because this is modifying who you are now. This is the delayed choice experiment. I don't know if this is really what John Wheeler thought he was getting into as a physicist, but it's what we're getting from it tonight, right? Because it is, if he was working with all of the sciencey stuff, what are we made of? The sciencey stuff. So we're going to mess with it and have the best time with it. Yeah. So I wonder, with this big Hadron Collider being shut down, and knowing that we've got this big field of 4 years where we can just kind of like stretch and feel Mama Earth, because she's getting a break. Can you imagine if you had like not just a heart monitor, but what if you were wearing like a giant heart monitor, or plus a CPAP machine, plus like all these motors on you forever? That's what it is for Mama Earth. She's got all of these, plus all these AI machines and everything. Well, a major one just got shut down, right? So what I'm hearing from the Galactic Federation, just like a council of extraterrestrials, right? And they're real. I used to wonder, like, am I making that up? That's so weird that I can hear from them, and I feel like I'm not well when I hear them. No, they're real. Other people have started to talk about them on YouTube and such, which is super validating. Gotta tell you. They said that with this maintenance shutdown, it's our time as humans to change the way we treat the Earth, because the Earth is also going to go into a restoration process. The Earth has a time to change its vibration. It's going to like a quieter time. And they gave me an example of like the earthworms can do their work better. The way that animals can communicate, like the roots of the trees can communicate different. The mycelium communicates different. And something about how there won't be as many stress calls from animals. It's going to be, I don't know what that part was, but maybe someone who channels wild animals really well can kind of go into that and maybe message me for the show and I can get back. I couldn't get quite all of that, but there was some information about the wilderness animals and how someone can work with them. Maybe if you're really good at an indigenous work or shamanism or something, they said, this is the time to do some healing with that. And then the Galactic Council said that in regards to our conversation last week, we're going to go back a step. They came back. We talked about Disclosure Day last week. They wanted me to go back and share something. So I talked to Sarai and a bunch of extraterrestrials that came in. And being on the spot and channeling, I always do my best, but there are certainly things that I don't pick up on. And I guess there were a bunch of them that wanted to speak that I simply just didn't hear. I didn't hear because I was nervous. So they caught me afterwards. So here's some things that I'm supposed to say. So let's go back in that timeline for just a minute. They wanted me to tell everyone that there was a question that was asked last week about, is there anything that they would add, that they would want to add to the movie or emphasize? And they had quite a long conversation with me about how they would like there to be less corruption of the actual earth and how we treat the earth. And they showed me the use of like machinery in earth and how there are other ways to receive information. They showed me AI and how it's going to hurt the earth. They said that I was asking them what's the future of AI, and they handed that right back to me. And they said, humans know the future of AI, and it is in our hands to utilize it, but don't let it get out of hand. They said it was created by humans, and that it's not the devil, it's human made, and that humans have always had help from the galactics for big ideas like this, but it came from us. And they said that I said, will you ever intervene to help if it gets too big? And they said, listen, we aren't saviors. And the whole idea that people on earth are waiting to be saved by a savior, that's not going to happen. That's not who we are. And we were hoping that in the movie that would be more clear, that nobody's coming to save you. We can come and collaborate, we can advise, but we're not coming to save you. They showed me like a treaty or agreement. And they said that's always been in place for all beings, that no one saves anyone. You save yourself. It's not that we wouldn't, it's that we don't. It's not wouldn't or couldn't, we don't. And they went, we don't. That would take your sovereignty. It would take away your God right. God right. They said God right. So that's why. So they said, don't keep waiting on someone from the clouds to save you. That's made up. And then they gave me this like symbol from the Galactic Federation that meant basically you can do it. We have our capabilities, and some of them are being hidden from us. And that's kind of some of the stuff we're talking about tonight, about like when we realize that we can change things like our past, that we've been told that's done. You have your past, live with it. Or the future is like, this is your lot in life, you're stuck. When we get past that limit and we realize we can create whatever we want, excuse me, honey, Nat, get out of my face. When we can start to create whatever we want, like we cannot be controlled anymore. We get our sovereignty back, and we're going to stop asking for outside forces to save us. That's dangerous to some people because we won't be in need anymore. And that's what they're trying to nudge us, push us toward, so they can collaborate more with us. And that's why they're around, because they're dropping the hints. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. Okay. Now, they also said that it is hard for people to get on board together, because we're all different frequencies. We're all resonating different frequencies. And one of the main reasons why we're different frequencies is because we're eating animals. And I eat meat. I was vegan for a while. It was not good for me. I was vegetarian. That was very good for me. And then I just fell off the wagon. So I'm going to tell you, like, as I speak this to you, I eat meat. They said that there is great sadness from the extraterrestrials, all of them except the reptilians and some of the Dracos, that we eat animals. They don't understand it. There's great sadness. And until that ends, we are not going to reach a shared vibration on Earth that allows us to understand true peace. So I asked them, does that mean every single person on Earth needs to be vegetarian or vegan? And they said, no, that's impossible, but we need the majority. And so I'm passing that on to anyone that will listen. I'm going to commit to it the best that I can. And then, I asked them to put in my heart how they see it. And what they did was they put in my heart. I was sitting with a cow, and they helped me see the cow with as much love as I see my cat. And at home, my cats are not my pets, they're family members. They're in my soulmate group. And when they allowed me to see that cat or the cow or the pig or the chicken in as much love as I see my cat, I thought, and as intelligent as I see my cat, and to see that cow as, loving its sister and missing its sister when it's taken off to slaughter, I thought, oh yeah, how am I doing that? Then I went the next step, and I thought, well, maybe some people eat fish, and they're like, what? Don't do it. They're the same. Don't eat animals. Don't eat the living. So I'm not lecturing you. That's not coming from me. I am just relaying the message. I am an angel. I'm sharing the message. I am the messenger. So we get to do our best. But I wanted to share that from the Galactic Council. Yeah. So I'm really hoping with this collider shut down that we'll also feel clearer in our bodies, and maybe we won't crave heavy things like that, and we'll want to go more toward what's growing from the ground. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? That's what I'm hoping. I'm really hoping that. So, because shutting down that collider is basically like shutting down a giant radioactive video game, right? And if you've ever played a video game for too long, or watched TV too long, or your phone too long, and then you stop, first of all, it's like, whoa, you have like that momentum, and then it's like, peace. So, they're going to build it bigger and better, and we'll feel that when it comes back on, but right now we have a break. Have you heard of the Higgs field? The Higgs field is like water in the ocean, but it's around us, and everything in the universe moves through it. The Higgs field is also what gives everything mass. So it helps everything to have weight. The Higgs field is something that people are starting to actually see. And I asked the angels why this was important. I'm looking for a visual here. And they said, the fourth veil, where spirit lives, they said this is related to the Higgs field. So those of you who are really like scientific and you want to nerd out with me, start looking up the Higgs field. For those of you who are more spiritual, this is the fourth veil. And when you look at when you look outside at the sun, don't look at the sun. When you look at the sky, or you're looking at a blank wall, you might see it kind of shift, like shift. That word was shift. Not shit, shift. Sorry about that. You might see like clear gummy worms or clear shapes. That's the veil. The veil has a personality, And the veil is the dimension where spirit lives, okay? And in the recent years, the veil itself, just like the third dimension, the fifth dimension, and all through the other dimensions, the fourth dimension has expanded. Instead of being like a gossamer curtain, the veil has expanded and shown herself. So we're not just experiencing the beings coming through the fourth dimension. And that fourth dimension also has really grown because of the Hadron Collider, probably opened her up, honestly. But we're here for it. Let's say that's a good thing. Many people like you can see like little squiggles. If you look and just let your eyes go fuzzy, you can see those little squiggles. I'm encouraging you to still look for them because I'm curious how many people can see them now that that collider is shut down. Okay. Now, one thing they wanted me to talk to you, all of us, about is another idea about like fixing a time loop. They said with this break, time is more malleable, okay? But time, since it works in all ways all at once, they wanted me to use the infinity loop, okay? Of course you know what this looks like. I know you do, okay? Just let me be a teacher for a minute. Well, this is the infinity loop, okay? Got it? Now, we're used to thinking that we're perpetually going this way all the time. They said, wrong-o. No, you're not. You're wrong. Sorry. Bonkers. You're always stuck. You're stuck. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Did I buy toilet paper? What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Did I feed the cat? Did I shut the garage door? We're looped. We're looped as part of the 3D world. We're looped. They said, don't get stuck in the loop. They said, if you want the infinity symbol to work for you, which is something that I see, Rachel speaking, I see in everybody's hologram. It belongs to everybody, but it's not always activated. It's usually only activated by half. If you want it to go the whole route, which becomes the creator loop, then you have to start putting this somewhere on your body. Get with a Sharpie or put it on your wall. I have it right in front of me, and it says, do not return to the loop. And then I drew the infinity symbol so that you don't get stuck in this. But when you notice that your thoughts are getting stuck in victimhood or stuck in some sort of like OCD or ADHD or anxiety loop, you can keep yourself walking or thinking towards something else. Count 5 things that are pink. What are 3 things that you can feel? Okay. Or you can feel your toes in your shoes, something like that. Count your breath. Inhale by 3, exhale longer. Inhale by 3, exhale by 6. Okay. This will break that loop. You can also break the loop of this timeline. Have you ever felt like you're in a rut? Maybe it's a big rut. Why do I keep dating poop heads? Well, ask your friends, they'll tell you. But if you feel like you're stuck here, give yourself a pause right in the middle. Okay, this is in your mind, right? Or you could paint it or draw it. Pause. Spend time in this theater. Who have you been dating? Interesting. Go out of the theater. Go into this theater. Who do you want to be dating? Come back out. Talk to your guides. All right, go back in. How's it going? How do you want it to be going? Then what do you want to choose? All right, integrate it. Integrate it into your choices. Oh, are you stuck here again? Wrong theater. Integrate it. What does this look like in the real world? It looks like when you notice you're making a choice that you don't want, you remind yourself you are made of source and nothing is permanent. We have learned today together that we can make decisions now that affect the past. We can make decisions now that affect the future. We used to be told that The past is the past. It's carved in stone. Done, Dundee, gone, Gandhi. You're stuck. No. Can you imagine how much power you have now that you know you can affect your past? I don't fully comprehend what all this is going to mean. I've just learned this truth. It's not new to science. It's just new to Rachel. But things come to us when we're ready. And the disclosure, as they said last week and this week, it's not just about extraterrestrials. That's like the thinnest layer of disclosure. The disclosure is, who are we and what the heck are we ready for? What are we growing into? And what has been hidden from us? Like everything. We're the makers of our reality. I don't want to go back to my teenage years. Let's just leave those there. And I don't regret anything in my life. I love every part of my life, even the worst parts. But I'll tell you what, I'll go back to them energetically. And I want to change, not even change. I don't know if I'll change anything, but I'll go back and see what's in there. If I could tell young Rachel a few things. If you work on this and you've got some stories to share, I would really love to hear from you. You're welcome to come share your story on the show or write me an email. I love to use my Gmail account for this. It's theangelcounselor@gmail.com. Share your story with me. You're always welcome to come on the show. Hey, I have a few things to tell you. If you're catching the show live, you can always catch the replay. I'm always here Mondays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time or in all time zones. Wednesday of this week, July 1st, I'll be live on John Burgos, Beyond the Ordinary. Catch the details for that live show on my website, rachelcorpus.com. You can also catch me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can catch my podcast, Angel Talk, anywhere you get your podcasts. And we're just about to start season 3 with Angel Talk. Yeah, so listen, everybody. I hope that you keep exploring and learning. And pretty soon we're going to have an animal communicator joining our show for a week. So if you have an animal that you would like to have read by an animal communicator that's very near and dear to me, let me know. Find me on Facebook and message me, and we'll get you set up. Listen, I love you very much. You are source. You're not separate from source. You are beloved. And keep that halo straight.
Laugh hard, breathe deep, let the light come in. No perfect questions, no polished disguise, just real people talking to the other side. I ask the angel, come on, ask away. Ghost guides, pets, and past lives, all on the show today. Ask the angel, nothing's too bizarre. Your soul's got questions and we've got stars. She'll bring the love, she'll bring the zing, she'll bring the truth.